Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
Now, the threat of extra US tariffs on the UK and other leading European economies has receded for now after President Trump said the framework of a future deal around Greenland had been reached. But the incident has cast doubt on the stability of the UK-US trade deal. Joining us now live from Davos is the UK's Business and Trade Secretary, Peter Kyle. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Bloomberg Radio. So Donald Trump has pulled back on this threat of additional tariffs for now. But are you confident that this threat won't return?
Well, I'm confident that what we've seen in the last couple of weeks from the UK and our European partners works. That was cool, calm, energetic diplomacy. The resolve of the Prime Minister was clear and evident for everyone to see. And we got to where we needed to be. Now, where is that? Where do we need to be? We need to be focusing on the security of our northern flank for NATO. We can now focus on that, and we can reassure America and work with America as key partners to make sure that that part of the world is safe and secure. Of course, it's always been a priority for us, and it's very good now we can focus on that and also get back to that key business of talking about trade and improving trade between America, Britain and Europe.
Now, Scott Bessent talked about some glitches in the UK-US trade deal. What are they, and are we doing anything about them?
Well, we're always moving forward. I mean, as you know in Bloomberg, and your listeners and viewers will always know best, when you do a deal, of course, implementing the deal takes a bit of time, and there's always some bits that are trickier than others. But I've always found quite curious when I do interviews, and this is put to me, because when you look at the world through my eyes, what you see is constant progress. So since the talk of a glitch or a pause started to emerge, we have secured a deal on beef, for example. So Britain has access to the beef quota for the US from the 1st of January. That's meant in one single shipment, which is on the way to America now, that's saved £66,000 in tariff fees. That's an enormous advantage, I would argue, for America and for Britain. Of course, the pharmaceutical deal landed just before Christmas. So you see a lot of steady progress. That huge, gargantuan deal that was struck during President Trump's state visit to Britain in the autumn of last year has created $300 billion worth of commercial potential between our two nations. So these are not insubstantial deals. These are really consequential deals, and they're available for businesses to start using now.
But I note your optimism, but if we juxtapose that with the negative tone that we had from the US Treasury Secretary and the threat of tariffs now withdrawn over Greenland, has trust in the UK-US deal been damaged by this?
Well, it's quite good that this talk has emerged over the Davos period. I've been here at Davos for a couple of days. I've met with many people from the US administration. Some of them planned, some of them you bump into, and you go to one side and have really free, frank conversations. The key thing that's underpinning the special relationship between the UK and the US right now is we do have very strong personal relationships, which are forged through listening, learning from each other about the priorities our two nations and we have as two administrations. But even though the difference is us being a centre-left party in the UK and the administration in the US being a Republican conservative administration, if it were a Venn diagram, the bit that's in the middle there is really quite considerable. And we have managed to really focus on where the mutual advantage is, diplomatically, economically, in terms of security and defence. So that special relationship has been reformed a lot around looking at where the high growth sectors in the world are at the moment: quantum, AI, fusion, space, climate technology, health technology, and particularly AI. And we have come together around these areas. These are areas the US leads on, but Britain has real pointed expertise and potential. And us working together as a partnership that adds up to more than the sum of its parts. And that is recognised by both sides.
Now, on relations with the European Union, yesterday you said it would be crazy not to engage with the prospect of a customs union. The Labour manifesto said there would be no return to the single market or the customs union. Is there now a debate inside the government about rejoining the customs union?
Well, the point I made yesterday was that debate is good. And the fact is that the customs union exists. The question that was put to me then was, is it okay that people in the Labour Party talk about the customs union? Now, the customs union exists. But of course, I am very clear about this. It is not my intention that we join the customs union. My focus is absolutely on short-term immediate growth in the UK. We have invested an enormous amount into medium to long-term growth measures. We're building 1.5 million homes. We're expanding 4 airports with new runways in the UK, 4 new reservoirs, 42 billion pounds worth of investment into rail in the next decade in the north of England. All of these things are highly consequential when it comes to growth into the medium to long term. My focus is on what it would take to get growth into the economy in the near term, in the immediate term. What will move the needle in this year? So the customs union is not on my radar or this government's radar for that.
But nonetheless, there is a review of the existing trade agreement with the EU that's happening this year. What are the key priorities for the UK? And are you signalling with engaging with this conversation about the customs union that you're open to big changes to that relationship?
No, we're not open to joining the customs union. And as I've said, it took Turkey 20 years to join the customs union. It took 4 years for the UK to leave the customs union, and we need to focus on improving measures in the immediate term. There is a lot of challenge with growth. I mean, you will be very familiar, and your listeners and viewers will be very familiar with the Draghi report. Of course, that was focusing on EU member economies, but a lot of relevance also for the United Kingdom. Now, we in the United Kingdom are moving incredibly fast, and I think I am using all of the powers that I have. For example, I've already, in the 3 or 4 months I've been in this job, delivered £230 million worth of in-year regulatory efficiencies. I've set up the Global Talent Task Force, which is out there looking for global talent, bringing it to the UK with a global talent visa, which my department is able to issue. I've got £4 billion, which I'm focusing on scale up, taking the largest ever equity investment into businesses in the UK, partnering with funds. These are the things that I'm doing immediately, and I want to partner with the EU to find out where there is mutual areas for forward growth, which is win-win. Now, I think improving the cross-flow of goods and services into the EU, there are areas and specific areas, such as SPS and others, where we've already had a headline agreement that we now to get on into the weeds of and implement. These would be a tremendous win for the EU and the UK because both territories have a growth challenge.
So you're in Davos pitching the UK as a business and investment destination. Nigel Farage is also there, and he recently said that London was in the grip of a crime wave. So are your political opponents undermining London's reputation as a place to do business?
Well, Nigel Farage never misses the opportunity to go and do down Britain. The fact is that London has one of the lowest crime rates of any comparable city in the world. It is an extraordinarily safe city for whom violent crime has been falling year upon year for well over a decade. These are tremendous circumstances to come to Britain and do business. And when you come to a safe city like London, you can explore all of the opportunities you have for commercial gain there, because you will be in a place where the London Stock Exchange is outperforming Wall Street by 20%. Just had the best year it's ever had on history, hit record highs. You have a government that's investing $4 billion into scale-ups and partnering with venture capital firms to make sure that all the capital is there for those businesses who want to scale up. We're doing enormous, great things when it comes to the British economy, and it is doing incredibly well and moving in the right direction, which is why business confidence is doing so well. According to PwC, we are still the second best place to do business in the world. So those are the things that Nigel Farage should be using his platform to sell Britain on. But of course, he never takes that advantage to sell Britain. But he always just does us down.
Is he making your job harder while you're there by presenting an alternative narrative?
No, he's not. What he's doing is showing the difference between a government that delivers the stability that the businesses tell us. And then, of course, that survey that you were talking about earlier in the programme illustrates this. Business craves stability. Nigel Farage, he lives and breathes instability and chaos. He's delivered it all the way through his career, and when it was in the EU and now in the British Parliament and, of course, in his campaigning. But what he never does is stick around long enough to actually sort out the mess that he causes wherever he goes. So what he's done is drawn yet again attention to the fact that he represents chaos, whereas we have a governing party that is governing Britain with an industrial strategy that sets policy for 10 years into the future. 10-year stability in a world which really has a lot of instability in it shows just how attractive Britain is now for a place to come, to build, to scale, and to stay when you're doing business.